WildChild has been on this adventure for months now, and we have had record-breaking bad weather this fall, like 100-year records being broken for earliest snow, most consecutive winds, winds back-to-back, and early cold. Last episode we made an easy and short run from Huntington to City Island. As the nasty weather started to roll in again, it looks like we're in for a couple more days of rain and misery. Yesterday we staged ourselves at City Island to begin the run, and in this episode we're going to run through the East River of New York City and through the scary and dreaded Hell's Gate of the East River. After motoring most of the day through the East River in the cold and gloomy rainy fog, we were sort of exhausted and tired. We pulled in near Coney Island just for a temporary rest to run the generator, heat ourselves up, and then finish the jump to Great Kills Harbor. It was foggy, gray, gloomy, wet, and cold that morning as we made our way towards the Throgs Neck Bridge and the opening of the East River. I was on the handheld VHF radio talking to that sailboat in front of us. They had done this run several times before, and I was asking for advice. Sailors always take care of sailors, and they were very happy to share what they knew. I've seen YouTube videos of sailboat masts not clearing bridges, and it goes very badly, very fast. So I'm always nervous going under a bridge. And here's another one. The current has just started going in our favor, and right now we have 1 knot of current pushing us towards the bridge. We won't be able to stop. The chart plotter reassures me that we should be fine. We have a 65-foot mast and 100 feet of clearance under the bridge. But I never enjoy this view, and I'm always nervous. And right here, I get to breathe a sigh of relief. River of New York City is a busy commercial waterway, so we have to be careful to stay out of the main channels and give plenty of room for the commercial tugs, barges, and vessels that are working the waters. Even with the current in our favor, WildChild with her folding race prop is still the slowest boat in the East River today. After we pass under Whitestone Bridge, we will be below the glide path for the planes landing at LaGuardia Airport. From there, we're going to look for Rikers Island and stay to the right. And once we get around the Rikers Island prison complex, there are 2 smaller islands on the other side. We're going to split in between. Chart plotter says that the height of this bridge is the same as the last one, and if it got the height of the last one correctly, I'm pretty confident it got the height of this one correctly as well, so I wasn't as nervous going under this one. The information that we see on the chart plotter is different from what you might see at the surface or on a regular street map. We're looking at depths, contours, channel marks, and stuff like that. It looks a little confusing, but we have an idea where to go. ferry traffic in the East River moving at way high speeds. Best to stay out of their way. Don't be bad, children, otherwise you go to Rikers Island Prison. Look at the prison buses, full of bad people. Don't be bad and don't go to prison. It's not a nice place and it's not a place you want to be. What a huge facility. Wow, it's freaking big. And that's Rikers Island. And right now we're motoring between the Two Brothers Islands on the East River, past Rikers Island, and there's the North Brother. So now we're in the East River and we're approaching Hell's Gate. It is a Tuesday, November 6th, 2018. It is 9:30 in the morning. It's foggy, but it's calm. It's not that crowded. It's not that hard. We've done much harder passages than this. This bridge is sort of the beginning of Hell's Gate because it narrows and the currents can pick up, but as long as you time it so the current's in your favor, it's not so hard. I'm not sure why so many people speak with dread of the East River. For a sailor, like, make your passage when the current's in your favor. This is easy. It's actually kind of boring. So up ahead are the two bridges leading through into Hell's Gate, where the river narrows. Roosevelt Island will be on the left. We have to keep the lighthouse at the end of Roosevelt Island on our left and aim towards the blue cranes, whatever that means. And then stay on the west shore along the UN building when we pass through. We called the Coast Guard this morning and they said there are no closures by the UN building, so we should be able to just push right through. 1 knot of current in our favor. Well, that's what I call high-speed traffic. Just because the chart plotter says you have enough height clearance doesn't mean you ever feel safe or comfortable doing this. You have no perspective when you're looking straight up. That mast certainly looks taller than that bridge. And it's not until you're actually under that you breathe a sigh of relief and say, oh, we got 20 feet to spare, fabulous. And WildChild safely clears another bridge. As we pass under the bridge and begin our approach through Hell's Gate, it begins to rain. It's foggy in the canyon ahead. Visibility is greatly reduced. This might be a bad sign. The current is definitely kicking up now, and in the fog we need to find the lighthouse at the end of Roosevelt Island. If we take it to starboard, we're going to go down a passage with a giant danger. There's a bridge in there that's too low for us. It's only like 52 feet tall, will be dismasted, and in 4 and 5 knots current, we wouldn't be able to stop. So it's important that we find that lighthouse and we keep it to port. But it's foggy out and this place is confusing. I've never been here before. That's where the Harlem River joins the East River, the Blue Cranes, and New York City. That seems to be a ferry terminal. And this is the important part of the passage. That's Roosevelt Island. There you can see the stone lighthouse on the end. Left is very bad, right is good. No, left. Yes, right. The current's just really tossing WildChild around now, so I guess I see why they call it Hell's Gate. This place is kind of rough. Essentially, you just follow this highway, stick to the right shore. Yeah, this is actually pretty rough. Look at the current, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but the current is just intense. That makes for a rough passage. And this is the hardest part of the passage, is through Roosevelt Island. Current. Full throttle, baby. With the engine and the current in our favor, we're flying along between 8 and 9 knots. We'll pass through this very quickly. They just follow the highway along the west shore on the Manhattan side. The WildChild's getting tossed around in the current like a toy, and we're not even at peak current. We're only at like mid current here. We have about 2 knots of favorable current, I think. Look at WildChild getting thrown around. Yeah, I see why they call this part rough. If you were trying to go against this at peak current, man, it would be brutal. We feel kind of weird, out of place. WildChild is a blue water boat, and here we are passing through the muddy waters of the East River, sneaking through millions of people's backyards. We feel really out of place in the big city. That somewhere's up ahead on the right is the UN building, and sometimes when the United Nations is having a special to-do, they shut down the East River to all boat traffic. If they said stop and turn around, we could not motor back against the current. There'd be no way to stop. Personally, as I stand on the bow, I can't help but wonder, who would want to live in a dreadful place like this? Once you get past Roosevelt Island, the river opens up again, and things calm down. Today, this place just feels foreboding and creepy. Let's just get out of here as fast as we can. Once we make our way under the Williamsburg Bridge, we're starting to make our way out of New York City towards the Statue of Liberty and out into open water. And each bridge gets us closer to open water. pass under the world-famous Brooklyn Bridge. Hey, what a cool tall ship. And eventually we make our way into the New York City harbor. We had heard from some other sailors that behind the Statue of Liberty on the island, on the backside, there's an anchorage that you can anchor in for the night. But we had also heard from other cruiser friends that they tried to anchor behind there and got chased out by an American Coast Guard gunboat for homeland security reasons. I really didn't want to tangle with a gunboat. So we just kept on going. We were cold, wet, and tired, but at least we were finally back in open water. One last bridge, and we're in open ocean again. Once we passed under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, we were home free. We were out of the East River, but we were cold, wet, and tired. We wanted to find a place to drop the hook. We were in some place called Gravesend Bay near Gravesend, New York. We motored near Coney Island to the east, and we found the back of a bunch of plazas and shopping centers. We figured, good enough. You can see we got the generator running for the electricity and heat. We're anchored behind like a plaza building with a Best Buy and a Kohl's and Halloween, whatever that means. We're off Coney Island. Well, after all that rainy misery, we dropped the hook and started the generator to have lights, heat, and television, make breakfast, and just relax. That was pretty wet misery out there. We saw a sailboat smashed on the rocks. That's a bad sign.
Okay, so second phase of the day, honey. What are we doing?
So this morning we got up early to make our run through the East River and Hell's Gate because you have to do it when the current's in your favor. So that meant we had to pull up anchor in the fog. We left around 7:45. We ran through while the current was in our favor, but the weather was not in our favor. It was pouring rain and absolute misery. So by the time we pulled out under the bridge there, out of the dangerous current areas, we just dropped the hook in the rain because we needed a break and we wanted the rain to pass. So we started the generator, went down below, had something to eat, had a rest, started the generator, had lights, electricity, charged the batteries. The rain passed and it's now like 2:30 in the afternoon, and the winds where we were anchored will be exposed tonight. So we have to cross the mouth of the New York City harbor to the southern shore to be protected from the winds that are coming tonight. So in 1.6 knots of wind, we are motoring to Great Kills Marina, I think, or we might go to Sandy Hook. I'm not sure. Well, I generally hate motoring, but after a whole day of motoring, we're safe and conditions are calm. We pulled our way into Great Kills Harbor. This bay is great. It's beautifully protected from 360 degrees of wind. It's out of season, but we still managed to get some fuel on the fuel dock before going out and grabbing a mooring ball for the night.